Well, welcome to a special edition of the Face Off, and joining me from Winnipeg is the Commissioner.
I'm here.
Are you drowned in paperwork, sir?
I am.
I thought so. Very happy you can join me for an extra Face Off this week. I thought that we would talk about the Commissioner, the dictator himself, and for what I believe is his mismanagement of the NBA at this point.
Mismanagement?
Mismanagement. All props to Stern as that he built the league to what it is. You gotta give him credit for that, right? But in last year or two, I think he should retire now. And what did he say? He's retiring in a year or two? He should retire now. I think it's just got his too much power. I think at this point he wants to run the teams himself. There's two things that happened lately that I disagree with. It's vetoing an LA Lakers trade previously because he thought that they might be too powerful. But previous to that, he allows LeBron James to go to the Miami Heat. He vetoes a trade that's a trade that the NBA controls the team. So I find that suspect. But now he finds San Antonio Spurs $250,000 for resting some players on a road trip to Miami. And I don't agree with the resting the players. I'll be with you on that. I just don't think you can find $250,000. A team should be able to manage itself, run itself. If it feels it's the best thing for the team in the long run during a long NBA season, a grueling NBA season, is to rest players, especially when they're on the road. They have that right to do so. To find them that they can't do it. Now San Antonio has to go to the commissioner every time it makes a decision. Can we do this, sir?
What don't you get about that? I don't understand how you could think that what San Antonio did was correct. It's one thing to give one player off. He gave their top 4 players the night off. And this was supposed to be a marquee matchup. It was on national TV.
You see, there it is. You tell me that this has never happened in the NBA before?
I don't recall a time ever hearing where 4 of your top players are.
No, I'm saying there's never been a time that the Lakers have traveled with Kobe and not dressed him.
Well, we talked about this before. I remember back in the day when Mario Lemieux wouldn't come play in Winnipeg because it was an easy game to win. Why make him travel?
It's not even easy to win. It's just sometimes you just don't. Let's be honest though. In the heyday of the Lakers, sitting out Kobe was like 5 players, right? But you never had Stern say we're going to fine you because people want to see Kobe. Let's be honest. People wanted to see Kobe more than any player than these 4 guys, or how many of them they were, right? So it's just garbage. What I think Stern did is he reacted the way the fans reacted, and I'm like that too. I think it was terrible. I just don't know what you can do. Getting into the management of a team is, I don't think, the right answer. Do I agree with what San Antonio did? No. How do you penalize San Antonio? The NBA should say we refuse to allow a San Antonio game to be televised on television. Period. You don't have to fine them $250. If they don't want to sit their players, which is their right, take it to another level. You just don't televise one of their games going forward.
I just think that the NBA, or David Stern's role as commissioner, is to ensure that the integrity of the league is upheld. This move smacks of the lack of integrity, and basically San Antonio saying we don't care if we lose this game.
But here's the deal. The Heat barely won that game. So where's the integrity gone? The the Heat should have demolished the Spurs, correct?
Well, based on the fact that they left the top 4 guys at home, yes.
They did it. They barely eked out a victory on that.
Well, but what?
So
I mean,
there you
that,
go. The integrity wasn't lost. It ended up being a better game because if those 4 guys started, they would have crushed the Heat.
Or did the Heat play down to the level of the Spurs? It's hard to say. The fact is, the commissioner had to do something because it's not resting just one player. They were resting 4 guys. And it's not like
I don't care if they rested their whole team. And here's a point I'm going to give you. Because my Minnesota Timberwolves have like 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever how many injuries to key guys this year, right? And this happened at the beginning, but it just seemed like every game there's another guy going down. One thing I don't think that people realize, because I say, oh, these guys are dribbling a basketball, it's not that intense. It is a very intense game. There's a lot of physical stuff that goes on in basketball. There's a lot of injuries that occur. Basketball is one of those injuries, a lot of knee injuries, a lot of ankle injuries. And I really do think that when you're going on the road, which adds more to it, so I just really do think the coach said this is the best thing for our team. I don't think the coach made an arbitrary decision without even talking to the front office, the general manager, the owner, right? I think this is a team decision. What's best for our team? That decision should be left with those people and not David Stern. I really believe. I agree that David Stern has a right to be mad. The fans have the right to be mad. The people that paid for that ticket have the right to be mad. The other thing is, I don't necessarily, and I might be wrong, but I don't necessarily think that when those people in Miami went to buy tickets, they necessarily said, we're going to buy this ticket specifically because it's the San Antonio Spurs. And I think that they bought the ticket to go and see their Miami Heat. And they got to see their Miami Heat. We can agree that the incident was terrible. I don't agree with the solution that David Stern came up with.
Well, what's he supposed to do? What is he supposed to create a rule now that you can't
He has created a rule.
He
created the trade rule with the Lakers. He created that on the spur of the moment. No pun intended.
Here's what Stern had to say. He said, resting players in a manner contrary to the best interest of the NBA is what they did, and under these circumstances, he concluded it did a disservice to the league and our fans. So he's saying, well, I guess the question becomes, what is a coach's obligation now? Is it to the league or to the team? You're right. The line has been blurred, and
I just don't think I agree that it's not there's a detrimental to the league. The league is going to be greatly harmed. I don't believe that. I think it's an overreaction. I think that him, like any other fan, he's more than a fan, was incensed that a team would do that. I was. I think it's terrible. I just don't think that the commissioner can get into the management of a franchise. And going back to the question of, can he create a rule? Yes. Because he's done it before. So what I think they do is he goes, look, I'm going to send a warning out.
Well, no, wait a minute. Before you said, he claims that it's a policy. There's a policy. The NBA has a policy, a league policy, that says that resting players in a manner contrary to the best interest of the NBA is a punishable offense.
How does he arbitrarily pick teams? Now, I might be wrong, and you're the stats guy. Has Kobe ever been sat on the road? Has a team ever made that decision because he needs the rest? They'll sit him, and I say yes. Okay. Was Phil Jackson did he ever sit because he had an injury and he didn't travel for every game? Did people want to see Phil Jackson on the sideline? And you're going to laugh at me. He's not playing. Probably. Okay. Was that detrimental to the game? No. Okay.
I think it comes down to the number of players.
But that's not what the policy says. And my point is that he probably should have reminded the people of the policy. Okay? He probably should have contacted the Spurs and then made a public statement that said, look, we do have a policy. And going forward, if teams want to take this action, they are going to be met with severity. It's going to be severe what I'm going to do. $250,000, not a big deal probably to the Spurs. What he should have done, warning, it happens again. How about $1 million fine? How about losing draft picks? Okay? Because I don't think this goes far enough. This is just a reaction to the fans. It's a reaction to the media. Now here's the funny thing. The media reacted like you would expect the media to react when it happened. Okay? Story after story after story. What's Stern gonna do? Now that he took this action, almost everyone's against the action. So he reacted to the media. He didn't have a calm head to say, let cooler heads prevail. That's the issue I have with it. Is that I don't think if he would have waited 2, 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week, he would have done the same thing.
Okay, but the facts of the situation are as follows, and this is what I think made Stern go, as you say, into dictator mode. Okay? He, first of all, he sat his 4 top players. Mm-hmm. It's an early season game. It's the team's only regular season visit to Miami. He didn't inform the Heat, the media, or the league office.
Why should he have to?
Apparently that's the policy. That's what he took into account in determining that they violated this policy. So, you're calling him the dictator. I'm saying it was a well thought out punishment. He didn't go overboard. It's just, you're right. He just fined them $250,000. Didn't take away a win.
Actually, that might be the league maximum, by the way.
I don't know about that. I would have to look into that, but,
yeah, but I
don't know that there is a league.
He might not be able to fine more than $250,000.
I think the fact is that there are some issues with David Stern and his reach and his control over the league. Go back to even that dress code policy that he put in place, and he wants to see the league have a certain image, and the image has been tarnished. Especially, if he wants to fix the image of the NBA, he's picked the wrong issue to do it. All right? He wants a dress code for a bunch of thugs. But he didn't go and suspend it. He just fined them. It was a fine. He's just saying, you violated the league policy. This is a fine. It's not like anybody's suspended. It's not like this is going to affect the Spurs down the road. This is just, it was a warning. It was saying, hey, you know what? There's a policy in place. You didn't follow it. This is what you're getting. This is the penalty for not following it.
All I'm saying is as I said, should they have dressed those players? Probably. I don't agree with what they did. Seriously, don't agree with what they did. I just don't like this. I think it's a reach. Why now? Why this team? I just think it's a guy who's trying to get more and more control.
He's already announced he's retiring. So
I know. I just think it's his final days of trying to put his stamp on.
What more control can he need?
Well, it's just coming up with these crazy things. As I said, were the Spurs wrong what they did? Sure. Was the reaction by Stern a little too drastic? Probably. And if he really wanted to send a message, and I wouldn't agree with it because I think he overreached anyway, overreacted as well. You know what? He should have just come up and said, look, you know what? You don't get a first round draft pick next year.
I don't. What is that?
Well, there you go. So that, if you really want to do something that hurts, if you really want to do something that sends a message, that's what you do. Otherwise, all you're doing is it's just a lot of hot air without any substance, and it's just reacting to the environment around you and not letting cooler heads prevail. And that's what
As always, I like to. I'm right and you're wrong.
Anyway, I don't think we're going to agree on this.
No, there's no way that he could not. He had to fine them.
I don't think he had to.
He had to. He couldn't. First of all, what they did was an injustice. And in reading a couple articles,
injustice? Why is it such a?
There were fans that paid extra to go to this game.
You think that they paid extra to see San Antonio, not their own team?
I believe that, it's just like in the NHL. Certain teams, they have flexible seating prices depending on which teams come in to visit. And supposedly Miami.
You know what you do? instead of a $250,000 fine, what the penalty should have been, if you really want to send a message, is the San Antonio Spurs will reimburse every fan that went to that game for their ticket price.
I don't know if they can do that, but you know what?
No, I'm saying that wouldn't that send a better message? So the next time you want to do this, you're going to have to refund a whole arena full. What is it? 20,000 people? You do the math. 20,000 people. What, at $40, $50 a ticket?
Listen, I was reading an article earlier.
And you know what that message would do? It
Listen
would
to
only
me.
fine.
No, but what you're missing here about this whole point and why you have to fine them and why they can't start giving money back to everybody.
I say you do. If
it's not practical.
It's the integrity of the league and people paying to see the game, and you really are, as a commissioner, concerned about those fans, then you give the money back to them, or take $250,000 and give a portion, $5, $10 back. So we understand you were hurt by this, okay?
It's not, but the point is, they're making a mockery of the regular season. They're saying that it doesn't matter. And there's already, both in hockey and in basketball, there's so many games, and everybody knows that players take games off even though they're playing. They don't play to their full capacity. And it just seems like Popovich popped off, and on the spur of the moment, pun intended, he did what he thought was best for his team at the detriment of the league. Stern had to step in and do something, because what if the Celtics want to do this down the road?
And as I said, if he is serious, he finds
them $250,000.
Then he finds a way of connecting the dots to the fan, and the fine is a reimbursement to the fan. Otherwise, the fan loses out regardless. And if you're a person that went to see the Spurs, only to see the Spurs, that was your one Miami Heat game that year, and you spent money to see the Spurs, right? Not your own team, just the Spurs. That's the game you picked. Then you are no better off today with the fine to the Spurs. You're no better off. You still spent your money and you still saw garbage out there. You're no better off. This fine does nothing to alleviate your pain. So it's a dumb decision regardless. And if he was serious about the integrity of the game and he was serious about his fans, then you reimburse the fans. And you know what? The NBA reimburses the fans for that. So you know what? We have a franchise that's rogue, that's stupid. We're going to fine them. But you know what? We're reimbursing you. We're reimbursing you your ticket because you don't deserve that. And you know what? Going forward, we're going to work a way into the rule book that makes those franchises that does this stuff reimburse you. That sends the message. This doesn't send a message. This whole team is fine. Some billionaire owner has to fork out $250,000, and the fan is still stiffed.
Well, you know what? You might have a point. I don't like to give you any credit because it's hard enough to agree with you on most things you think. But you're right. Maybe that is what they should have done. Maybe they should have refunded the fans. But it should still have come from the pocket of the Spurs. So any way you look at it, the Spurs are being fined by the NBA.
As I said, I don't necessarily like the approach on this one. You're kind of treading water here. You're kind of really treading water.
Our wheels here, anyways, because I'm not going to. You've convinced me on one thing that there should have been a penalty. The penalty should have been reimburse the fans, and the Spurs should have reimbursed. They should have reimbursed me too for argue about this with you.
What about reimbursing the TV network that had to pay the money to televise?
There you have just opened Pandora's box. Now they have to reimburse the TV network. Now they have to reimburse the guys who didn't do as well in popcorn.
Well, I'm saying, the TV network, can't they go and sue them and say, look, you didn't notify us that you're doing this. We fully expected that you would be starting your regular players. The last minute you decide to do this. This affected our TV ratings. This affected the people watching our network to watch this game specifically for those.
Well, I think you're proving David Stern's point in saying, him finding them.
Yeah, but David Stern doesn't have a control of the revenue those TV networks make or their ratings.
What the point is that you have to do something. If he would have sat back and said,
"Guy, leave it up to the free market. Leave it up to the free market company to sue the Spurs if they feel that they were wrong." Going back, let a bunch of fans sue Spurs because they spent money on a ticket that was tainted. This is America.
Well, you live in the litigious states of America.
This is not communism. America's not communism.
I think that a class actions lawsuit should be.
But I'm saying this is the commissioner acting like a tsar, right?
Anyway, we have 10 seconds left before the final buzzer. Is there anything else you want to add other than, well, the obvious? I'm right. I won this one.
No, I don't think you did. But anyway, thank you for joining us.
There goes the final buzzer. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you during the week for the picks segment, dude.
Yes, and obviously condolences should be sent out to the Kansas City Chiefs who lost a member of their family and the family that's suffering too.
Well, what about the girlfriend that was murdered?
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know her name, unfortunately, but
yeah, that's where my biggest condol. What about the child who's left parentless?
Yeah, that kind of puts a really damper on making any picks for the NFL, but we can talk about that next.
One thing I wanted to say, we're going to mention this in the podcast, the pick podcast at the beginning of it. The Kansas City game that we picked, we're scrapping that game. We discussed that before. So going forward, even to the next week, if Kansas City's not even an option to pick going forward for the next week anyway. But with that said, and that somber note, I bid you a goodbye until we talk again, and have a great weekend, sir.
Good day to you.
All right, take care.